parents delivered the subpoenas. I mean, you know, it was a nightmare. And so about 2 days into the case, my mother took it upon herself to call, well, like she said she did in the last place, what she probably should have done in the first place. She called a private investigator and asked him, told him about the bite mark evidence and that we just needed someone to look at it, that, you know, they just hadn't been able to find anybody. Well, within 30 minutes, he called her back and had found a bite mark, a dentist up in a little town called Phillipsburg, Kansas, almost to the Nebraska border, who, as it happened, was the president of the American Board of Forensic Odontology, which is bite mark evidence. And he drove to Tulsa, looked at the bite mark, said, I'm making this too long, but anyway, said that there was no way that it was Greg. He could just eyeball it and see that there was no possible way it was Greg's bite mark. And that he would be happy, it was too late for him to be classified as an expert, but he would be happy to come and help Greg's attorney when it came time to cross-examine these other experts. Greg's attorney refused to even talk to him. And so, anyway, the writing was on the wall, and because the jury only heard, Greg always said if he'd been on the jury, he would have convicted him too, because they only heard their evidence. Now, it turned out later that these two experts, one had been out of dental school less than a year, and they were not experts at all. But anyway, and so Greg was sentenced to death and went to McAllister in 1987.
And when was he exonerated, and how did that happen?
He was he was actually exonerated in 1993 during a second trial.
So he was in prison for 11 years?
He was actually in prison. He was on death row for a little over 4 years. Once he was in prison, he had lost everything. I mean, we'd had to sell his home. He was classified as indigent, and so he was qualified for a public defender from the indigent defense system. And he was given, Mark Barrett was given his case, and Mark realized pretty early on that it looked like, you know, he might actually have an innocent person, you know, that he was dealing with. And so this Dr. Krause, who was the forensic odontologist that had come from Kansas, was so appalled at this. I mean, he knew it wasn't Greg's bite mark, and he was so appalled at this miscarriage of justice that he worked with Mark very closely, and they sent this bite mark evidence to the 12 top forensic odontologists in the country, the FBI, the Royal Canadian Mounties, the Dr. Souveron was the Ted Bundy case. Anyway, sent it blind, not telling them whether it was for the defense or for the prosecution, and they, all 12, sent back affidavits, you know, this thick, saying there was no possible way. I mean, there were at least 27 discrepancies between this bite mark and Greg's, and so Mark was able to get a series of evidentiary hearings where we were allowed to go in and present, because no evidence was presented at the first trial, so they were able to go in and present all this evidence, and a new trial was ordered for Greg. And then he was released on bail again. He'd been on death row over 4 years. He was released on bail again, but the district attorney had the option of